Gates seeks more Iraq contractor oversight. The Pentagon dispatches fact-finding team. Mulls use of military code of justice. Washington outlining for the first time his concern about private contractors in Iraq. Defense Secretary Robert Gates told Congress on Wednesday that he has sent a fact-finding team to Baghdad and has reminded U.S. commanders that they have the authority to discipline contractors like Blackwater. Gates also said he was troubled by security contractors' practice of luring soldiers out of uniform by offering them higher salaries, a lot of money. He said he was looking for ways to put legal limits on that despicable practice. In remarks to the Senate Appropriations Committee, Gates said he understood theoretically the reason for having at least 137,000 or more private contractors in Iraq. Mercenaries. Their presence allows U.S. troops to supposedly focus on combat, while simpler tasks like providing food and laundry services and guarding big sites are done by private mercenaries. But we clearly have to have proper oversight procedures and oversight activities in place to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to, he said, adding, "My concern here is whether there has been sufficient accountability and oversight." Blackwater incident sparks probe. Gates appeared before the committee to spell out the administration's request for nearly $190 billion in new funding for the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. But the discussion quickly turned to the issue of private security contractors in Iraq, some of whom have been accused of rogue behavior. Gates said he began probing the military's relationship with his contractors after at least 11 Iraqis were killed September 16th in the shooting involving Blackwater mercenaries protecting a U.S. diplomatic convoy in Baghdad. The Blackwater mercenaries in that case were working for the State Department. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice last week ordered a full review of State Department security in Iraq, including an examination of the rules governing security contractor mercenary actions. A joint U.S.-Iraqi commission is also beginning to look at widely conflicting accounts of the September 16th incident, with Blackwater doing a lot of lying. Speaking at the Pentagon before Gates' appearance in Capitol Hill, his press secretary said Gates has received some preliminary answers to his initial questions about contracting in Iraq. Those answers, at least when it comes to the oversight component, have not been satisfactory. He has some very real concerns about oversight of contractors like Blackwater in Iraq, and he is looking for ways to sort of make sure we do a better job, a much better job on that front. We can't have mercenaries, assassins going around killing innocent civilians and whatever else illegal things they might be into. Gates said the Pentagon has sufficient legal authority to control its contractors like Blackwater. The Pentagon also disclosed Wednesday that for several months it has been developing additional guidance for American commanders and other senior defense officials on how the Uniform Code of Military Justice can be used to discipline contractors. Prior to October 2006, the code did not apply to mercenary contractors. There are at least 7,307,300 private security mercenary contractors working for the Pentagon in Iraq, of which about 5,000 are guarding fixed sites of importance to the U.S. military or the Iraqi government. According to Pentagon figures, the contractors are immune from Iraqi law, and so far none has been prosecuted under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Critics have cautioned for years that the Pentagon was counting too heavily on private security contractor mercenaries. Many outsiders have predicted since the war began that the reliance on mercenary contractors, especially security contractors, was going to eventually produce problems, and now it has. A defense expert at the Lexington Institute said. Security firms lure soldiers with higher pay away from the military. In his Senate testimony, Gates raised a separate contractor-related problem for the military. My personal concern about some of these security contracts is that I worry that sometimes the salaries they are able to pay, in fact, lures some of our soldiers out of the service to go to work for them. What kind of deal is that? Gates said he was seeking legal advice on whether a non-compete clause could be put into security contract that limits this problem. To obtain a clearer picture of the U.S. military's relationship with its contractors, Gates has sent a 5-person team to Iraq to talk to all the key players. Also, Deputy Defense Secretary Gordon England issued a memorandum to commanders spelling out what authority they already have to ensure that private mercenary contractors comply with U.S. rules. The memo tells the commanders that they have the authority to ensure that all security contractors are authorized and trained to carry weapons, and that none has unauthorized weapons or ammunition. The memo alluded to the September 16th Blackwater mercenary incident without mentioning the contractor by name, and said that the shooting of civilians identified a need to better ensure that Pentagon policies are being followed by its mercenary contractors.